Tangerine Dream. We have inextricable links to Tangerine Dream vis-a-vis Conrad Schnitzler, who was in the original incarnation of Tangerine Dream with Edgar Froese and Klaus Schulze, is on our label. And I had a minor friendship with Klaus Schulze. Lovely, lovely man. Very, very affable, decent man. And a synth alchemist. The next incarnation of Peter Baumann, Christophe Franke, and Edgar Froese was one of the greatest bands in history. In fact, the next album with that incarnation, Atem, is on quite a few major musicians' list as their favourite album of all time. Indeed, John Peel of the BBC was absolutely so enamoured with that album that he became a major patron of Tangerine Dream, to the extent of getting them a record deal and bringing them over to England to the Manor to record their seminal album, Phaedra. Because that was the kind of crystallisation of their sound. And again, working aleatory, working stochastically. And the man who made it happen was Christophe Franke, because he was the guy who conjured the modular sequencer patterns that became so influential. So when they went to the Manor, they actually did get their hands on Moog modular synths. But again, it wasn't homogeneous and it wasn't consistent. So they actually had to use tape loops to kind of create a little bit of homogeneity. And some of their concerts in Chartres, in Rem, and in the Fairfield Hall in Croydon, what emanated from those concerts was modular sorcery. Absolutely incredible music. And again, Christophe Franke, Edgar Froese, and Peter Baumann. That is widely accepted as being one of the greatest bands in history. And the iconic Tangerine Dream lineup that nothing can touch. Incredible. I have a series, In Search of Hades, 2 to 4. 2 is Bandersnatch, 3 is Opus 0, and 4 is Vitruvian. And it's kind of not really a kind of a Kuhnian, Copernican paradigm shift. It's kind of adding to the Berlin School lineage. So it's kind of, again, I like to say that I work conceptually, not necessarily sitting down listening to Atem or Phaedra all day long, but I'm inspired by the concept. Very, very enamoured by that. Now, a lot of times, kind of notability-wise, you may see Mark O'Leary, the Paul Bley Trio kind of thing. And yeah, I was in the Paul Bley Trio. I was a member of the Paul Bley Trio. And I was in Paul Bley's last trio. And I was a member of Paul Bley's last touring trio. And I was a member of the Paul Bley group, because he liked to call it the group or the band. And we played our last gig in the Bayer Rischerhof. That was the last Paul Bley Trio gig, where Putin, Donald Trump, and Macron, and Angela Merkel. That's where they give their Munich security concerts, Munich security conference speeches. Right there, where we played. But not only that, being like that is pretty notable, but what I'm going to tell you now is even more notable. We had an extensive train ride from Milan to Basel to Zurich, because we were playing a concert in Zurich. And on that train ride, he told us how he met Bob Moog before Bob Moog had ever sold a synth, and had a dinner with him. And at the end of the dinner, Bob Moog gave him an early prototype synthesizer, with that, Paul Bley gave one of the first synthesizer concerts, if not the first synthesizer concert. And at the end of that, when we were travelling to from Basel to Zurich, he took out from his wallet this large timeline calendar from the American Scientific Society and showed us, and he was on it on the, I think something like the 27th of December 1969 or something like that, and it was Paul Bley gives the first acknowledged synthesizer concert. Now that's important because a lot of the people that I'm associated with are in synth bands, and basically, you know, the kind of you know, the antecedent of that was Paul Bley's concert, because that was the first concert with a Moog modular synthesizer in history. Thank you very much for listening.